Welcome to the Superhero Sanctum, an offshoot of the PCVG in which Tetris and Waha try to pitch each other superheroes.
Each episode will be at least 10 minutes long, but each superpower may last several episodes, so stay tuned and enjoy the Superhero Sanctum.
Welcome to the Superhero Sanctum. Today we're actually starting with the Headhunters, a group of heroes that I created that basically go around our world to find other heroes. Now, I called them the Headhunters, and I wanted them initially to be kind of good, but they're basically just fucking stalking the shit out of you until you go with their way. You know, sure, they're probably going to end up being mostly neutral, figuring out people, helping supers figure out their powers. But either way, the methods I describe are a little intense.
I like it.
Yep. The Headhunters are a group of supers that scour the world for superpowered individuals to steer them in the right direction.
Quote unquote.
I heavily air quoted there. I should have hit the mic just to signify how bad they were there.
We need an air quoting sound effect, but go on.
It'll be like no. Okay. The first one I call the Eyes. Diane Elise Franco. She has a sort of extra sight that allows her to see within people. A sort of ESP that lets her see auras. She can see from that. She can see the severity of the powers and usually the general intent of the superpowered individual. I'm not sure if that should extend also to mundane individuals to at least get their intent, but definitely sensing supers is the key there.
She could even see people's auras, then we could go with that whole angle. She'd be like, the colors. She got the superpower after a drug-induced LSD trip never wore off.
I like it. It has to be actually some kind of super drug. Not quote-unquote super drug that people call things right now. No, I mean a super-powered super drug that makes people super, but also probably trip balls. So PCP.
Mostly useless. Also PCP.
Come on, PCP is not mostly useless. It's useful for laughs.
Starting riot.
Laugh riots. Anyways, the next is the Mouth. Douglas Everett Franco. They're related. The power of persuasion can make even the most far-fetched suggestion seem reasonable. Hell, maybe even a really good idea. His ability can be subtle to the point most don't know they're victims, or obvious near mind control levels. Obvious to onlookers, but victims usually don't know until later.
We could two comments. We could have this guy dress in black, and he can be part of the whole Men in Black mythos of our world. And two, he has to be a cocky dick. Anyone who can just persuade people to do whatever he wants to persuade them to do sleeps with a lot of fucking women, trashily.
Nah, I'd like to think the two I mentioned are brother and sister, so the sister keeps one in line, but still.
Okay.
Yeah, no, with that power, maybe that he's cocky to the point that sometimes the suggestion breaks because he's being a dick.
Yeah, that would be a good
And let's see. One more, real quick. Kenny Lewis Matherson. The Legs. One of the fastest men alive, uses powers of super speed to tail the less than willing supers and trying to convince them it's better to go with the Headhunters and take a less evil approach to using and developing new powers. When I was thinking they were good, I wrote that part. At least neutral. you can just say it's better than dealing with the general public, because truthfully, that probably is. They're probably just behind us, like quasi-governmental agency. I like the Men in Black approach to the mouth. That would be good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would just be any covert government agency, but I do like the three members so far. I feel like they need a chief in charge of them, whose power is undefined, pretty much.
Oh, exactly. But at least we got the basic operations done. Someone who can go out and catch or convince or see any sort of villain or super we create, so we can create some sort of backstories. Or at least catches into the main story. Because the Headhunters could work in tandem with Ass occasionally.
Yeah, that's true. Or rather, Ass would work in tandem with the Headhunters.
Either way, like, this is a basic sort of government recruiting thing that we're thinking of here, and Ass is the other government organization in charge of supers.
Made up of similar team. Well, in that way, we could have, the Headhunters show up in, like, Ass gear, like, militia weaponry, and then it won't, like, seem as awkward. Like, full mech suit at some point.
Oh yeah, either way, like, we need to make sure a few things are covered, like government interaction with supers, because in a lot of settings that's glossed over. Or crazier things are taken at face value.
Well, you just go, oh, it's a world of superheroes, so what do you expect? Or it's, trying to recreate the Civil War movement where they go, oh, they're mutants, we need to prohibition ban them, they're not people.
Yeah.
Which I don't like that either. I think people would just be jealous of.
I think most, people just wouldn't care.
Yeah.
They should probably be rare enough that you'd never see one in daily life. We're not talking about, I don't know, goddamn Marvel seems like it's mostly superhero individuals. You like walk down the street and bump into each other.
Well, that, and then there's just like, you run into the wrong person and they turn you superpowered, and you step on a radioactive landmine and boom, you're superpowered.
Is that the kind of world we live in today?
I ask you, is it? Well, that's what the Sanctum of Headhunters believes, is all those individuals need the proper training so they don't run a mess.
Oh yeah. If you're siding with the government, then you can't lose.
It would seem weird that they're let go without being brainwashed or anything from this organization. But there's got to be some sort of form of that the Sanctum's a part of.
Oh yeah, some sort of like really subtle one, but if a very superpowered individual finds out that they were brainwashed into thinking something that they didn't want to, like a moderate one, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. They could be eliminated by, whatnot. But just think if fucking one of the top tier heroes was found out later on that they were manipulated into thinking or doing things, they'd be pissed.
Yeah, well, and that's where this secret organization comes to light. And, I don't know, we could probably push that to, near the end of the Dimensional Crisis. Or at the beginning of the Dimensional Crisis.
Or at least when sort of faction things are thrown out into the open and there's super fighting in the streets. Like, super fighting in the streets with large death tolls. As opposed to, at the start we wanted super fighting in the street, but it's like they're throwing cars around at each other for fun and the spectators are running away. It's like, oh god, the fucking mutants are fighting or whatever.
No, what this whole conversation has gotten me thinking about is the first time that Ass and the Headhunters crash into each other. So it's kind of a three-man organization with a one person on top of them. Same sort of, scenario.
Yeah, I think of it like any sort of stereotypical interaction with two branches of government or like similar military agents of the government. They're just bitter at each other. They won't really fight each other, and sometimes, especially with supers, they will, but not to the death. Like
Oh,
someone
never
over
to the
them.
death, but I'm just that first interaction and leading all the way to Ass versus the Headhunters, because that's all we're basically saying with this organization is that they're going to clash at some point with Ass.
Yeah, it's true. Like that would be the natural sort of enemy to another group.
It's like it's a straight line, and neither of them are bad.
Cobras.
Yeah, neither of them are really bad, but it would be like
Cobras were bad.
Oh, don't even
So it's more like the cheat commandos versus the blue lasers.
Yeah, there you go. Blue lasers, or red versus blue.
Cheat commandos. Anyways,
yeah, I think that's enough for the Headhunters, unless you want to develop any character.
No. General sort of brother-sister interaction between the first two. And, the last one can generally be a regular cocky fastest man alive. I mean, he probably won't be the fastest man alive, but he's the fastest man in government.
Fastest man currently noted and on record.
The fastest man currently sanctioned by the U.S. government.
There you go. Because I bet Nano Man would technically be faster, it's just that he would be breaking all sorts of time and space stuff as we know it. Physics.
Oh, exactly.
And the world might crumble too.
Alright, so see you next time on the Sanctum.
On the Sanctum.
Of the Sanctum.